we're doing a great job pulling this together, but so far it's just all sorts of numbers that tell the story. And what I'm worried about is Patty, the president of the company. She's a very visual person, and we don't really have that many visuals in this offsite spreadsheet. So next, let's look at adding some charts into the spreadsheet to help visually tell the story. A chart is just a visual representation of the data. Let's check this out. We're now on the charts worksheet, and right here we see a table of cookie sales over time, over the past year. And just glancing at this, it's somewhat hard to make sense of this data, and I think a visual would really help things out. To insert a chart, let's highlight all of this data here. Make sure to include the headers, but don't include any of the totals down below. We don't need those for the chart. Up on the top tabs, let's click on the option called Insert. And right here in the center of the ribbon, we have all of these different chart options. Now, I could choose a specific type of chart if I have something in mind, or I could simply select Recommended Charts. And here, Excel recommends charts to me. Now, for time, line charts tend to work pretty well, so that's why I see that as one of the recommendations. I could also click on all charts up on top, and here I see all the different options in Excel, and there are many different charts that you can choose from. But I just want to go with the recommended chart. I'll click back here, and I think this one looks good. I'll click on OK. Now that I've inserted my chart, I have a new tab up on the top called Chart Design, and this allows me to modify the look and feel of my chart. Here I could add different chart elements. Let's say I want to change the title or change the position of the title. I also have different quick layouts that I can apply, and as I hover over these different options, I see how it affects my chart. I can also modify the colors if, let's say, I prefer some other option. Over here, I also have many different chart styles that I can choose from. This really makes it easy to pull together a professional looking chart very easily. I'll select style number 4. I think that looks good. Over here, once again, I could change the chart type if maybe I prefer another chart, but I think this line chart works well, so I'll stick with this. Now, one thing that's really interesting, when we look down at the chart, look at this. Leading up to the holidays, we have a massive spike in orders. This is when we get most of our sales. And then it looks like people have a New Year's resolution that they don't want to eat as much sugar come January. And here we see a massive drop in the number of orders. And it looks like by the time February comes around, people forget about their New Year's resolution, and then we have pretty steady sales throughout the year. If I want to move my chart around on this sheet, I could simply click on this object, and here I could drag it to wherever I want. Now, let's say I want to adjust the size. Here I could simply adjust it, but that might screw up the positioning and the aspect ratio. If I press the Shift key, that'll maintain the aspect ratio as I make it smaller or as I make it larger. Now, let's say I want to align it with the cells of my worksheet. I can press the Alt key on my keyboard, and here you'll see that it snaps to the borders of the cells. So this is one way that you can align your chart in the exact position where you want it. One other way that you can also insert a chart. Here, I'll highlight all of this data. And as I highlight it, you see this little icon appear. This is the Quick Analysis icon. When I click on this, here we could click on the second tab for charts, and here I could very quickly insert a chart. So here, let's say I want a clustered column. I could click on that, and that now inserts another chart onto my worksheet. When I insert a chart into Excel, this is tied back to the data. So let's say that December was actually an even bigger month than what we show here. Let's say it was 750,000 cookies. Here, I can edit the data in this table, hit enter, and you'll see that the chart automatically updates with that new number. Also, when I click on the chart, you'll see what data it ties back to. So let's say that actually I only want to look at the last 3 months of the year. Here I could select this area and let me drag it to October through December. And here for this chart now, it just shows me the last 3 months of the year. As you're working with different charts, you might want to experiment with different views, or maybe you want to test out different chart types. You could very quickly duplicate your chart. Here I have this chart selected. I could press Ctrl C, click into another cell, and then press Ctrl V to paste. And now I have a different chart, and maybe I want to bring back more months of the year. Here, I'll update the selection, and now I have yet another view. I'll delete this chart. Now, an even quicker way to do that, I can press Ctrl D when I have this chart selected, and that'll duplicate the chart. So there I now have another copy, and I can now modify that. Now, I don't need all these different charts, so I'll press the delete key and let me press the delete key again, and here I see the original chart. As you're working on analyzing data, you might just want to pull up a chart very quickly, and that's where shortcut keys come in handy. Here I can highlight all of this data, and I can press the Alt key together with the F1 key, and that'll insert a column chart. I can take a quick look to see if I notice any trends, and if I don't need it, I could simply click on the delete key. Now, with all these charts so far that we've inserted into this worksheet, we've been inserting them alongside the data, but you might want the chart to be on a completely separate worksheet. Once again, with all of this data selected, I can press the F11 key on my keyboard, and that'll insert a column chart as well, but on a brand new sheet titled Chart 1. And here I can now make modifications. And I could do all the same changes here, but I don't see the data alongside my chart.